All right, so your paper assignment, which is going to be the big project for the semester, this video is going to be talking a little bit more about that and what the expectations are. So actually, this is kind of a fun project, I would say. Most people have said they've enjoyed it. A lot of people have gotten some great takeaways from it. And I'm thinking that it's really good in that it helps you to put some context into what single system designs are and see what they look like so that you can use them with your clients. So the following paper options are designed for students to collect as close as possible real client data. So client can be an individual, couple, family, a group, a community, or an organization. But essentially this paper is approximately 10 pages in length, double space, between 4 sections. And just to keep in mind that 10 pages sounds like a lot, but within the short assignments, there are actually going to be different sections of your paper that you're going to be working on throughout the semester. So as long as you keep up with your short assignments, your final paper should come together pretty seamlessly, I would say. And generally, people really haven't struggled with it. So you've got 4 different options for this paper. The one that people most commonly use is option 1, and generally that's the easiest to do. You can select a personal problem that you, a friend, or family members like to change and conduct a single system evaluation. And when you're in the discussion forum or talking with your classmates about this, just make sure that everything is confidential, because you want to make sure that if there is something posted to the discussion forum and you're using a classmate for your single system design, don't call them out by their name. Please do not do that. In addition, written consent for adults and assent for a child should be secured for this exercise. But I've never had anybody use a child before, but if you are, please make sure that you talk to me about getting assent. So before you start collecting data, even if you're doing this for yourself, but especially if you're doing it for somebody else, you need to fill out an informed consent. And this is just general practice guidelines for research or for doing clinical work. And I'm going to post up an example informed consent online, so please take a look at this and fill one of these out. So again, you're just going to go through this, talking about what the problem is, what your goals are, how long you're going to be doing this, what you're going to be doing with the data, how long you're going to store it. There's some information here about what procedures you're going to be using for interventions, how you're going to monitor that. So again, make sure that you're filling this out as detailed as possible. And even if it's for this course and it seems really basic, I do want you to do this and submit it to the D2L Dropbox so that I can make sure that you've done it. And then lastly, it says these evaluation methods are understood by whatever parties are going to be involved. You can type in their names. And then just lastly is some more comments about how the paper is going to be used and signature of the participant or the guardian. Again, this is just a sample and you're going to have to customize this to your needs. It's based off of something out of your book, but please fill one of these out before you go and collect any client data. All right, so your second option is to ask a fellow MSW student or a staff member if they'd like to be a part of your project, or it could be a field placement staff member. That could be up to you. The third option could be conducting a single system design on yourself by selecting a personal problem that you'd like to change. And I would say that this one is probably pretty easy to do as well. If you want to exercise more, if you want to improve your study habits, whatever, you could do this for yourself, and this is a pretty straightforward, easy one to do as well. But again, bold, underline is if you're doing this, it's still expected that you complete an informed consent, just like I was just talking about. And in addition, when you're writing your paper, make sure to talk about yourself in the third person. So don't say, I went to the gym more, say the client went to the gym more. Makes sense? And the fourth option is to propose something completely different to me that I hadn't thought about. It's rare that anybody does this, but I'm always game if you've got something else that you'd prefer to do. So your paper outline, again, everything needs to include your name, date, course number, follow APA format, no more than 10 pages, and should be written in the third person. And for your short assignments, they're going to have this as part of them. So short assignment number 2 is going to be essentially what your introduction for the paper. So you're going to introduce the paper, the advantages of single system design as they relate to your client, briefly describing the client's background, how they were referred to your agency. So you're going to be able to use some artistic license here. You don't want to dish out every single thing about this person for this for this course. But you do want to talk about what the problem is and hypothetically how they could have been referred to your agency. And there's some more guidelines for verifying sources, intermediate goals, outcome goals. We're going to be covering this a little bit later on in the semester, what all that stuff means. So again, this is going to be something that's going to be coming up pretty early in the semester, but you're going to be putting together a goals table and measurement plan for your client. Part B is the methods section. So this is going to be talking about how you're going to go about measuring the client's progress. So describe how you introduce them to the single system design, and additionally specify the measurement and recording plan with enough detail so that it could be replicated by a different practitioner. Specify each of the measures used and your rationale for selecting those measures, and discuss reliability and validity. So this is the big part here, discussing the reliability and validity of your measures, and discuss how you've addressed reactivity. So people tend to skip these last two sentences, and that's the quickest way to lose points in your method section. So make sure that you're talking about reliability and validity and reactivity. And then your results, discussing your baseline, the length of the baseline, the purpose. Make sure that you're talking about COPES questions. People forget to do this, and I'm going to put a specific video about how to use a COPES question, which is essentially using research to guide your practice. So please incorporate that into your paper. I know people forget to do this, but I'm really encouraging you to use at least 2 or 3 references for your paper, and also reference the textbook. And then you're also going to be stating which type of single system design you use, which is probably going to be A/B, and then discussing your graphs with enough detail that other people can understand it. And then the last part of this paper, which should be the easiest part, is the discussion and conclusion section. So just talking about the outcomes, case termination plan, follow-up steps, and anything that you might have done differently or what you might do differently for the next project. And I'm just going to pull up the grading template here. This is what I'm going to use to grade your papers. So I've got a specific point breakdown for each section of your paper, so please look at this real thoroughly before submitting your final paper. I feel that this makes everything really black and white about how you're going to gain or lose points, and I think that this is really straightforward and helps you to know what you need to be focusing on, and that you've got all the different aspects of your paper that I'm looking for. So for your introduction, that's 20 points. 10 points are just that you've got all the required elements, solid conceptual definition, operational definition, and your writing style is worth 2 points. Method section, again, is pretty straightforward, but the area where people lose the most points are reliability and validity of each measure. That's about 1/3 of the points, and a lot of people never talk about it. So please specify reliability and validity separately, because they're 2 different concepts and both really important to single system design. All right, and your results is the 40 points. It's the majority of the points of the paper. And also here, a lot of people lose points for not talking about their COPES questions, so make sure to include that. Also, just writing up your results and following the guidelines that I lay out in the course for how to do that. And I'm going to be posting plenty of examples of how to do that later on in the semester. And then discussion and conclusions. Again, just an overall evaluation, case termination, limitations, and references. So this is going to be posted up online as well, and hopefully it'll help guide you in putting your paper together. And I'll look forward to reading your projects.